everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Top of the Pods. We are not doing a top 10 list today. We are here to review the Iron Claw, the movie about the Von Erichs. As we're all wrestling fans, we're all some way involved in the wrestling industry, if you want to call it that. We thought it would be a good idea to sit down. We all went to the cinema together, sat in different seats, but we all went together to see the film. The first time we've all together went to see a film, so we had no choice but to do a review of the film. Now that it's out in Ireland and across Europe, it's finally out on the side of the pond. We are here to sit down and talk about the Iron Claw. So, joined as always by Queen Lizzie.
You really
introducing her first this time.
Hi.
Philip Conley, who is on almost pretty much finished editing the movie, getting close to being released, so we may have to go and see that together whenever that comes out. Once it's all done,
there will be a screening. There will be somewhere.
we will be at it together, guaranteed. And because it's a wrestling movie, we had to obviously invite Tom on, our resident bump taker. If anybody is at the RCW show this weekend or has watching RCW on YouTube when it comes out in the next couple of weeks, you may see a 3D close-up of Tom getting smacked in the face by Mark Haskins.
We need that in a shirt.
I was like, what? I was like, okay, let's start the timer now. How long before that comes up? Like,
well, if you want to zoom in, you can just see the scar on your nose.
Yeah, let's see a little bit of a cut. It's not too bad for a man who got, I don't know, reverse 619 in the face or whatever.
From where we were sitting, it looked like your nose is broken.
Oh, we were planning to.
Right.
I already assumed it was broken, and yeah, the paramedic checked me out. I was all good. I looked pretty good for a man with a busted face, but
thankfully, Vicky was able to even wipe her face with $100 bill. So
yeah, I might as well retire now. That's what I'm not going to get more gangster than that. Like,
there you go. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you thought it was going to be a regular Friday night.
Pretty much part of it.
know.
At this stage,
well, I did know we were doing this video at the time, so I was like, I better fucking get some credos here. Like, I better be like, I'll take a bump.
Well, you didn't take the claw, but you did take the paw.
Oh, that's for next time. That's for next time when I see him in the ring, man. Oh, I'll see you in the ring, Mark Haskins. From a safe distance.
Rematch.
He's calling you out, Mark Haskins. You took his skin.
That's right.
On your skin. Right.
I'll see him in the ring, but I won't be in the ring with him. I'll just be very far away, being like, "Go on, Mark."
Tom, as you're still in heat from your skirmish, what did you think of the Iron Claw as a film?
Mixed feelings on it overall, I would say. It's a film that I wanted to love for a lot of reasons. I find it very hard with this film to discuss because everyone I've discussed it with is a wrestling fan and knows the story already.
Yeah.
So I'd be very curious to hear other people's perspectives. For me, there's a lot of positives. There's some negatives. It's a story that, like, I think we always knew was going to get a film treatment at some point. Even like a few years back when I did a podcast and I had just joined the Phoenix Wrestling Network, as it was called at the time. I wanted to do a wrestling themed episode, and I was like, movies that are wrestling stories that should be turned into movies. And this was the one that was like, some of them got a paragraph. This got like 2 pages when I was writing about why it should be a movie. And I think because of that, there's a sort of burden of expectation. And I feel like that maybe worked against it. It's one that I actually thought about seeing again because I think I came away from it kind of being a bit lukewarm on it. Definitely more positive than negative, but overall, I think it's got some flaws that I think we'll get into. Again, it's a hard one to talk about, I guess, without spoilers. I don't know, are we doing spoilers or not spoilers?
Yeah, so, like,
put a warning in, yeah.
We saw it, if anybody didn't know, as a recording, we saw it about 2 weeks ago, so it is out now.
Yeah.
Quite widely.
And again, it's the very famous wrestling story as well. So,
if you're watching this and you haven't seen the film, sorry, you're going to have to either turn it off or keep watching and find out what happens in the movie because that is containing loads of spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what did you think of the film?
Again, I was kind of like Tom is mixed. I don't know what it was. It was just something was missing. It was definitely geared towards people who aren't wrestling friendly, I suppose is the word. Yeah, it's just, I mean, this is the best thing I've ever seen Zac Efron in.
100%.
Yeah, he was brilliant in this, but
what about Baywatch?
Yeah, do you not like Baywatch?
I was about to throw up Neighbours. How dare you?
I actually went to see Baywatch in the cinema and fell asleep. It's the only time I've ever gone to sleep in the cinema. But no, it's just there was something missing for me. I don't know what it was. A lot of it also was like, I don't know how to say it. It's like repeated scenes. Next guy, the next guy, the next. It just went. I don't know. I think I said it before. I think this might have worked as a TV show.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah,
More so than a film.
could have, yeah, absolutely. That's a good call. Liz?
Yeah, definitely on riding on the coattails there of what Phil was saying. That was one of my first thoughts after I came out to see it was I would have loved this as a Netflix documentary because I think it needed another 30 or 40 minutes
You
because
genuinely said that to me as soon as we left the cinema.
right, yeah, and so I was glad, I think because so much happened, God help us to this family. And I think people who weren't wrestling fans would have almost not believed it because there was so much going on. But that's a lot to fit into what, 2 hours, 12 minutes, I think it was in around that. It was a lot to fit in that. It definitely could have done another 30 or 40 minutes because it seemed that a lot of the things that were happening were it was like running consecutively or concurrently. One after the other. Concurrent, isn't it? Yeah. Concurrently. So it was like it appeared to the non-wrestling fan, I suppose, that these events happened a lot closer together than they actually did. And quite a lot of time elapsed in between these unfortunate and tragic events and circumstances. But that said, there's a few things I really liked about this movie. Definitely Zac Efron. And you know what's really funny is because there was a row of girls behind us who definitely did not come to hear about the Von Erich story, right? You know what I mean? Because woo, when Zac came on the screen kind of a thing, which was hilarious. But they got really into it. You know, you could hear them when like the deaths happened and the accidents happened. They were very like, oh my God, no. And they
had no idea.
They were like, no, yeah, they literally had no idea what was happening, but you could see they were hanging off every word. So I think it's tough for us because we went into with the expectations of the story of this family from what we know. And you have to remember as well, there has to be some kind of a theatrical or movie grace given as well to tell the story, you know, so that's kind of tough too. But definitely Zac Efron, I think this was probably the best role I've ever seen him in. I agree with you, Phil. Secondly, maybe it's just me, but I feel that wrestling, I'm going on a bit now, love, sorry, but you know, me gets on a bit of a roll. I feel that the whole, we'll call it the art of wrestling, I feel it wasn't presented in a way that could be ridiculed or in presented.
Almost felt real, didn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That it's not just, it's scripted or predetermined or, you know, whatever you want to call it or fake, you know what I mean? It really showed the dedication, the work, the as it's been mentioned so much about this movie, the toxic masculinity of that was apparent at that time, and the sheer brutality that comes with perfecting this this source of sports entertainment, we'll say. And I think it handled that really, really well. There wasn't anything that was gimmicky, really, as such. You know, it didn't present something that we all have grown up with and have such great love and passion for in any way that would consider it to be silly, which I really, really liked about this movie. So that was a really, really strong point for me. But yeah, but another 30, 40 minutes, and I would have definitely watched it in a Netflix series. Please take note for the Heart story, the Heart's story.
Yeah. Pretty much nothing more I can add to that. Like, you know, there definitely was room for more. They left a lot on the, you know, from what we know, they've left a lot on the cutting room floor. Not just MGF, like being, and you know, having, I can't remember, he had like a good 10 minutes of screen time cut out of it that he was actually in himself. Considering he was an executive producer in the movie, like if they cut, you know, up to 10 minutes of his screen time in it, imagine what else they've cut out of it. I always talk about this, but I grew up with Kerry Von Erich on TV, like in the early 80s or late 80s, early 90s. Like he was one of the standout people in wrestling. So I was invested in that family and knowing what was going on with the family at the time. I was invested in the story of the family. I just wish they had told a lot more of the story. But you're right. I think a series would have been a much better way of going, or, you know, just telling the story of one person and not getting too deep into the rest of the characters in the film. But, you know, they had to cut out a lot of things in the film. Like they cut it right down. Like the fact that they cut out one of the brothers altogether
I was gonna say.
Because he wasn't
Chris,
wrestling related, wasn't
well,
it, Craig?
he was a wrestler, but he was
I think
he died. He didn't get a much. He was wrestling. He just wasn't as big. He was like he was
I think
taller than him.
the way I heard it described, the director Sean Durkin said basically like he also died of a suicide in a similar
Yeah.
way to the other brothers. So I
Yeah.
think they were like, it's going to feel too repetitive or kind of, you know, hitting the same beats, and they tried to transfer some of his qualities into Mike, I think it was.
Yeah, but like to cut him out,
Movie, you know,
I don't think they should have come up
it's odd.
completely because he's
Yeah.
brother. Like I was listening to Talk is Jericho, and Kevin and his sons were on talking about it. They didn't know anything. They didn't know, they weren't consulted like whenever this movie was being made. Like they only found out about it, closer to the time that I was, near production was finished. They knew it was actually going on. And normally, I thought you had to sign, disclosures or some forms whenever somebody's taking your life story and turning it into a movie. I thought you had to sign something, but they said that wasn't the case.
Sure, there's a lot of that one. There, Michael Hazen as well. They
Yeah,
weren't.
the toys.
Yeah.
People are,
Yeah.
making toys from the characters in the movie, and you know, he was giving out about it. They saying
But
that,
he was even giving out just that he didn't get consulted. There was
yeah, a lot
no.
of people didn't get consulted at
Mhm.
all. Like they were talking about the movie, like they, as a family, they loved it. They did talk about Chris not being involved in it and understanding why, in a movie sense, why having the same people, same type of deaths, in a tragic story, it was a way of cutting out that. It was more, the story was more about Kevin's survival than the brothers, misfortunes and the family. So I just thought they could have, at least had him in the film at all. Like even at the scene whenever they all met in heaven at the, when Carrie died, they all met at the lake, and it's just like, he's not there at all. Like it just seemed weird not having that brother. Like, if you're telling the story of a family, they should all be there. Like,
If you're going to have Jack Jr., you should have Chris as well. It's another kind of way.
like exactly, like was, just doesn't make sense. Like a lot the timing of it was all over the place as well. Like you said,
That,
like
that seems to be a trend these days in films that I've noticed.
made no sense. Like the way they told it, like when Kerry won the title and he went out on the motorbike, and like there was a 2 year gap from him winning the title to him having the motorbike crash where he lost his leg, and they made it seem like it happened the same night.
I feel like they kind of robbed it of a lot of positive motion with that as well.
Yeah.
Like him winning the title should have been it felt like it could have been a such more jubilant moment, and it's basically like framed as Kevin's reaction to it more than anything.
But is that,
and I think that's like
copyright issue? Is that due to copyright issues?
I don't know, but surely if they recreated some of the other matches, they could have recreated some. I just feel like there was no jubilant moment there when there could have been. It felt like it would have actually probably worked better, because you would have had the triumph and then the low of what followed. Like instead of this, kind of felt like a constant like baseline and then sadness.
The whole arc of the story was trying to get him to win the title. Like he kept getting.
Yeah, it felt very overshadowed when it actually happened to it.
Went over him, like just made no sense for him not.
I think actually it's an interesting thing to talk about this movie in general. Did any of you find, and I think it's probably in some ways is the right choice. It very much kind of felt like it didn't depict or kind of hit away from some of the kind of more graphic elements of like the suicides or deaths, and I guess that was out of respect. And it was an interesting choice. Like I was kind of like, I was actually when the motorbike scene happened, I was like, I know what happens obviously, but I'm thinking like there might be some people who watch that and they're kind of like, wait, it kind of really feels like it jumps from him being on a bike to all of a sudden here he is in the kitchen without a leg. It's like, it feels like there could have been maybe a bit more of a middle ground.
I didn't know. I never knew the Texas Tornado had a prosthetic foot. Never knew. Never ever knew. So that to me, I knew there's a motorbike accident. Never knew he lost his foot.
Only Vince knew whenever he signed for WWF at the time.
Well, I should have known too.
No, but like they didn't let anybody know. Like he would shower with his boots on. Like he wouldn't let anybody know he had a prosthetic leg at all. Like only Vince knew about it until later on in his life.
Which is unbelievable, though, isn't it? Like,
and
I mean, oh my God!
And I don't only by watching this film, there's only one thing that actually copped on why he was called the Texas Tornado, is because he was a record discus thrower. Like, and that's where he got the Texas Tornado nickname from. I didn't cop that until I watched this film.
I didn't know that. Wow!
He's still a third in the college where he was record holder, and he's in the top 3 of all time.
Wow!
So if they USA hadn't pulled out of the Olympics in 1980,
Oh, he was a surefire,
like
surely.
he would have been on like winning fucking medals, like, and he may never become a wrestler. And this tragedy might never have happened. Like.
Yeah, that was one of the interesting things. That was one of the things I didn't know at all, and I thought that was like really interesting.
Yeah.
It was not, and I kind of feel like there was other things in the film that maybe felt a little bit like they sanded off some of the edge. I don't know how you felt with this. It felt like there was like there was a lot of kind of instances of drug use and stuff, and suicides that were because of drug charges hanging over people that were really brushed over and ignored. And I guess they wanted to kind of cling to the almost like supernatural idea of a family being cursed as opposed to them having other outstanding issues.
Yeah, I think the Dark Side of the Ring was a lot more compelling to watch than this.
I would say actually anyone that like is looking for like supplemental material to this, there's obviously the last of the Von Erichs, the Dark Side of the Ring episode, and there's also ESPN did a mini 30 for 30. Called I think the Wrestling with the Curse, I think it was called. That really was basically catching up with Kevin Von Erich now and recapping what all that happened, which is fascinating as well. Definitely required viewing.
Well, they were like saying the curse, didn't just stem to the family, like the people who are involved with them, like Bruiser Brody, like had been stabbed, who had trained a lot of them. They all trained together. Like he was part of the curse as well. Like if you believe in that kind of thing. Like,
they even changed the baby's surname.
Yeah.
Didn't want the baby to have Von Erich's surname. They changed it back to Atkinson. Atkinson, is it?
Atkinson, yeah.
What do you think? Do you believe it's a curse?
I just think their dad was so abusive that they're traumatized.
In the film, they depicted him that way though.
Yeah.
That's something I was going to say. I thought they let Fritz off very lightly in this. I think they kind of presented him more of like a stern coach as opposed to like a really almost abusive father like he seemed to be in real life. Like,
Kevin talking about that Jericho thing, he had mentioned that's the one thing he didn't like about the film. He said he made him seem like the bad guy when in fact he was.
Yeah, I heard that, and again maybe it's obviously I've heard his granddaughter say the same thing. I think. But the way I always heard is like some of the shit he did to them, it sounds like Jesus Christ. Like he said something to Kevin at one stage, being like, handed him a gun and said like you should join your brothers or something. Like the man was a psychopath. Like whereas here I thought it was actually a great performance by what's his name, Holt McCallany. He was excellent. He's one of the people where I'm like, if he had been nominated for best supporting, I would have been like, I can see why. I don't know. I think they framed it very loosely as just like he wants the title he never got. I feel like there could have been more of a dark light shined at him.
Was there any mention of awards for this?
I don't think it got any nominations.
It got nothing.
Nothing at all.
Totally locked out.
I think it came out there too late.
I don't know how that works because there's films that are in the cinema right now at the minute that are up for awards. So.
But they've come
out.
I think it was.
I think it was eligible, but I don't think it got any Oscars, as far as I know. But again, it could also be, I don't know, the perception maybe of it is a little bit. I know we've had wrestling movies that were successful, obviously, like The Wrestler, obviously, but I don't know. Maybe this was seen as a bit too common. Who knows? I don't know.
It did well. Like it was very full, and we went. I think it was actually full.
It was sold out. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of buzz about it, right? Yeah,
that was the pre-screen, and it wasn't even out then. It was just the pre-screen, so
everybody's going.
My brother saw it this weekend, and it was also he said it was nearly full as well, and that's like 2 weeks since the preview or so.
All I've been seeing on Facebook, anytime I go on Facebook now, somebody's tagged themselves at the film going to see it. Anybody who's a wrestling fan has gone to see it, even if you're not a wrestling fan right now and you were younger, like. If you're a wrestling fan in the late 80s, early 90s in Ireland, and you grew up with the Bushwhackers or Hogan and people like that, you would have seen Kerry Von Erich around. Like, you would have known who he was. Like,
well, speaking of these legendary wrestlers, can we talk about the Ric Flair that seems to be getting more heat than anything else in any wrestling ring ever?
Oh,
but
it's a very weird choice though. Like, I don't know why they got like the look so perfect, and then we're like, we don't need anyone to do a Ric Flair impression. There's like a million Ric Flair impressionists out there. Like
worst.
That's what I wonder. Where did they think that it was actually just too kind of over the top and cartoony for what is otherwise a pretty serious film? Is that what it was? But also, it's weird. I don't know. That's the only way I can rationalize it. But otherwise, it's very weird. Like man doesn't speak like Ric Flair. He just came off as very weird, and it's weird to do that with like if you did it with like say like Michael Hayes or whatever.
Yeah.
Some people would probably not necessarily know. Everyone knows what Ric Flair sounds
exactly.
like, you know.
Yeah, he's more known now than he was.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know, it was very odd.
Even in the locker room there when he came back in, it just that wasn't Ric Flair.
No.
The scene where he came back with the belt.
I wonder
very
what
strange
this
choice.
that they had their guys who were their main cast members, and they could have absolutely gone to town on the likes of Hayes and Ric Flair, but I wonder did they dilute it not to, not to have someone who steals the show who's not a Von Erich, if that makes sense.
Maybe.
I mean, imagine if you come out and you had this absolutely awesome Ric Flair character, and then that's competing with like the main characters in the movie. Do you know what I mean? So like you're going to be who you're going to be talking about. You're going to be talking about your man who was unreal, impersonating Ric Flair or portraying Ric Flair, and then I suppose the story that the main character is telling is maybe missed. So there could be aspects of that too, but then it could be just be like, no lads, Zac Efron took all our money, so can we get someone who kind of sounds like him but knows nothing about him?
Will Ferrell would have done a better job.
Oh my
Will Ferrell did an amazing version. He's putting it down right on about that. Like,
would you knowing what you know about Ric Flair now, would you go and watch a film about his life?
I don't know. Is there
yeah.
I probably
think
I don't think we know everything. There's a lot we don't know.
The only thing that I think is too outlandish is that lightning thing with the umbrella. That's just mad. I don't believe that at all.
The what?
He got hit with lightning and the umbrella saved his life.
Ric Flair.
Yeah, this was 70s.
Yeah, but Ric Flair also dallied with fucking Halle Berry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I was just checking, like, when I said I wrote like a document about all these wrestling things that should be made into movies, I did write down Ric Flair as one of them. Now, granted, this was 2019.
I think
things have changed, things have come to light, but I don't know. I would think, like, I think his story, like, they did the documentary on him, The Nature Boy. I think it framed it really.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember, was it 30 for 30 or was it?
Yeah, it was 30 by 30.
Was it 30? Oh, yeah, no, it was Under the Giant, was a HBO. Yeah, it was a 30 for 30.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because I think the story you tell with him isn't necessarily the highs and lows of his career. It's how he's a person who literally didn't seem to ever figure out what his life was like outside of wrestling.
Yeah.
And he couldn't really figure out what lines blur. I mean, basically, he was so fucking wrapped up in his persona that his son
he never switched off. Like, when he found that character, he never switched off. It was, institutionalized like the Shawshank for, he could never be, Richard Flat, whatever his,
Richard Fleer or whatever. Yeah, like he's someone who never learned who he was when he wasn't Ric Flair.
He became anything else after he found that character, wherever he found that character from. I know Buddy Rogers and people like that, where he took the Nature Boy stuff from. But what did you think of the lack of actual wrestlers in it? Because the wrestling scenes, there wasn't as much as we were hoping for. Like,
I think Chavo is who I spotted.
Chavo was in the first scene, yeah.
Was he
Chavo and Nick Nemeth, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Ryan Nemeth was playing Gino.
Ryan Nemeth.
Who was also, Hernandez was also one of the people who had the Von Erich curse apparently as well. Like,
yeah, I was expecting more of them. I was kind of keeping my eyes peeled, but I don't know why. Maybe they didn't want anyone that was like too crazy, bulked up and ripped to steal the show from, again, the amount of work that Jeremy Allen White and Zac Efron put in. I don't know, but
they looked
phenomenal. They did. They really, really did. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And they were believable as brothers. Do you know what I mean? Which is, I find, you're expected to believe that, family members are family members in a movie. You're just expected to believe it. But this was absolutely believable. You could see it. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Do you think if this was 15 years ago, Vince McMahon would have wanted that at WrestleMania?
Oh, he would have rubbed his bits all over it. He would have
actually. God. We'd be getting a 6-man tag with the 3 lads who played the Von Erichs. Like,
yeah.
Player.
That's still there. Like, that could still happen. I don't know if it happened in WWE. It may happen in AEW, because they are, they did go to AEW. I think Jeremy Allen White. I know the Von Erichs, the boys, Kevin's sons had a couple of matches in AEW or Ring of Honor. So,
and with the daughters,
Zac Efron has come out and said it. Lacey, I'm not sure.
Lacey, yeah, she was. I think
she. I think.
She was, isn't
She was, yeah, I think
she had a moment with Ted DiBiase, didn't she?
Yeah,
At an
where yeah, it
airport.
was that where yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like that's probably the movie's biggest strength was I have the casting was really good and they really
Yeah.
did a great job of like solidifying the family relationship and bond between the brothers.
yeah.
And I think that's why the first half of the film to me just felt way stronger. Like I was really into it when it was building up and seeing, what was awaiting them, and then it just kind of became an endless montage of death. It kind of felt like there was no room to breathe.
Yeah.
Although speaking of montage, there, but the highlight of the film for me, there's a montage with Tom Sawyer playing that's freaking phenomenal. But it was so obvious and but so amazing at the same time that I didn't even care. It was just
Well,
amazing. It was really well done.
That was one of Carrie's entrance songs. Like he
It
used that
was, yeah,
when he was younger. Yeah,
yeah.
it's an epic song.
I don't know about that. The only other kind of positive I had aside from that, I think that we haven't touched upon was the ending. I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Like literally the final scene, because it's one of those ones where like anytime I pictured this, it was like what is the ending? Where's the happy ending? And I was always like, well, it's that his sons become wrestlers,
Yeah.
and they're fine. But again, they kind of found a way of doing that without jumping too far ahead. And they kind of paraphrase, his famous quote of, I used to have this many brothers and now I'm not even a brother. And I think they managed a great way of doing that. That felt more endearing and had a bit of hopefulness to it, which I thought was really well done, to be fair.
Yeah, Sean Durkin actually came out and said that he had made sure that last scene was the last scene shot. That was the last day of shooting. They shot that last scene, and he made sure that Zac Efron didn't cry for the whole shoot. Didn't cry for the whole shoot at all. Like, and that was the first time he cried. That cry was on cue, first time go, and he shot it for the last scene.
Yeah, and I think that's why some people are kind of would feel a bit strange about Zac Efron's performance, because it's a very stoic performance. And I think what's hard about that is when you see Kevin Von Erich, that's pretty much what he's like. He's seems very kind of logical and stone. As I suppose he's probably, at this point he's very tempered after everything he's gone through. Like, and I think because of that's a more reserved maybe performance than people might expect from a muscled up Zac Efron in a wrestling movie.
Yeah.
I think that's what was really good about it. So that Zac Efron actually can do something a bit more subtle. I think that's what really worked with it about his performance, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was stellar in it. Definitely standout role for him, I think. With the Von Erich movie now out, are we looking at a Guerrero movie? Are we looking at a Hart family movie?
There was something about Pedro Pascal being Eddie.
Mm.
Was he too old though?
I don't know. Well, we were chatting about this. If you can make Robert De Niro look 50 in The Irishman, you'd be grand with Pedro. Do you know? You've more to work with there, like,
If you're going to play a 20-year-old Eddie who's jumping around the fucking place, Pedro, you can't just do his face. You're going to have to do his whole fucking body. I don't know if you can do that. Make him. I know he looks like him, but I don't think that's necessarily a good way of casting
That's
something.
like the Uncharted stuff with your man. They thought that he could just fit the role. I can't remember his name.
Tom
You know
Holland.
what I'm mad about?
Who?
There's what's his name again? The guy who said Firefly.
Oh, Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
They
just
thought
looked the
that
part and they were like, that's him.
yeah. So people probably just putting one and one together, and this probably doesn't know how it works.
Yeah. I don't know how many of these wrestling biopics I want to see, to be honest. Like I love wrestling movies, but I kind of feel like it seems like when instead of telling a story that has wrestling in it that's interesting, they kind of gravitate towards what's a sad wrestling story. And I think that's so easily done now because there are so many wrestlers who died early.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we had the Fighting with My Family, which kind of was a comedic and fun spin on the whole thing, but like other than that, I kind of feel like there's more stories to tell in wrestling than just like this is the wrestler that died. This is how the Hart family lost Owen or how Eddie Guerrero died too young. I don't know. I feel like there is stories to tell, like, but I don't know if that's necessarily the ones I want to be told. And I also think like legally, like I would say, trying to make a movie without WWE totally, having their fingerprints all over it in a negative way would be impossible.
Isn't there a Vince McMahon documentary coming soon?
Netflix have it.
Yeah, Bill Simmons, who made the 30 for 30 documentaries at HBO, is making it for Netflix. So I'm sure he's probably pulling his hair out because he's like, God, we have to add at least three more episodes since I started. But Jesus,
yeah. If it's going to glorify him, I don't want to watch it.
I don't watch
I
it.
don't
want to watch
I don't know if it will.
at all.
Like it's going to glorify him because he's a billionaire and he created a fucking.
Oh, and I didn't even think of this, and it is a Netflix documentary, and Netflix just bought the rights to WWE. Oh,
Yeah. Stick with 30 for
no.
30 on HBO or fucking whatever. Right?
I'll stick with
Yeah.
the wall, watching paint dry. Thanks very much.
Okay, so that's our take on the Iron Claw. Let us know what you thought of it. Have you any thoughts? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Anything you want to talk about? Let us know below in the comments. If there's any films or any wrestling families or any other famous people you think they should make a biopic about, let us.
All the scandal on Ted DiBiase's family. I want all of that. I think it'd be a great movie.
There's the drama. That's a series. Definitely a series.
Oh,
that should be Succession.
Succession.
Right? It totally should be.
You better be sniffing your arm.
Romulus. Amazing.
We're going to quote Succession until Phil finally watches it.
Yeah, I think we should definitely.
There is a biopic coming out in March for Bob Marley. I'm not sure if it's interests anybody. I don't know if anybody wants to go and see it. It's rated 12A, so
we were talking about that, a PG rated once.
This doesn't make. I don't like biopics that are rated PG.
There is an Amy Winehouse one that looks good.
Should be.
Yeah. I don't know what's that rated. The Amy Winehouse one.
I'm not sure. Is it released?
I don't know. I don't know if it's rated, but I think it's going to be like a younger age rating as well.
Okay.
I have to guess. I don't know.
That'd be worth the look, though. I think. I mean, there's very few people who would, who wouldn't know her story, I suppose.
Yeah. Before we go, have you any biopics? What was your favorite biopic?
Oh God,
that's a tough one.
That's a very tough question.
I'll go first. I think. I too, The Doors, and the Johnny Cash biopic.
Oh,
I thought that was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
the Johnny Cash one, yeah.
Because it was based on his autobiography, not some random screenwriter making up a story. Like, it was actually Cash written into a screenplay. I know they cut out a lot of stuff in it too. Like, but
I don't know. Have I seen many? If I'm honest, I'm gonna have a little looky and see if I have.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I liked Ray Charles when I saw it years ago. That was quite good.
Yeah.
I was looking up a list of them there. I like kind of biopic movies for me can often be kind of like I can't stand them. Music biopics especially. I liked Rocket Man though. Not being a massive Elton John fan, I just thought it was interesting and well done. I feel like they kind of did a better job like fitting the songs into the film as opposed to like so many music biopics have that really annoying thing where like it'll just be them like in the middle of a scene and like say if it was the Elton John biopic done badly, they'd be like, man, you really got a rocket, man. Say that again. That kind of shit. But I really like that one. As far as other ones, I liked what was it, Spencer, that came out a few years ago, Princess Diana. I'm not a royalist at all, but that was kind of weird. And I enjoyed that kind of element to it. I think is there any other ones? Probably older ones that I'm totally forgetting about now. But I think it depends, and I think I like when I don't know the story of someone too much as well. I think.
Well, that was like Phil said with the Ray Charles one. I was a fan of Ray Charles.
Yeah,
I wasn't a big fan of him. You know a few of his songs. You always know a few of his songs, but I became a massive fan of Ray Charles after that film came out.
Yeah.
The Walk the Line one is pretty good as well.
Walk the Line was brilliant.
Walk the Line was very good. Yeah, I've seen that a long time ago. Check that
out.
What
about the new Elvis one? Did you like the new Elvis one?
Yeah.
I did actually. Yeah. And actually, I think the common thing with this is like wasn't necessarily a massive fan of their music. Same with Elton John, but it did make me go, oh, their songs are decent. And I think those kind of had some things going for it, like Baz Luhrmann doing an Elvis movie is just a perfect match.
Yeah.
Even though I don't necessarily like either of those things. So
the best thing that film was at the end when he was doing Unchained Melody.
That was heartbreaking.
That was
oh my god.
That hooked. That was me gone. That was fucked.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. Elvis was really good.
I haven't cried in a film in a long time since I saw that film.
Another good recent one was Priscilla. I know they were talking about Elvis.
That's due out, is it?
It came out in January. It's probably
is it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah,
is it?
It's pretty good. Irish. Yeah, I enjoyed it as well.
Another good one is Gotti, right? But not John Travolta, right? It has to be
I was going to say.
No.
I was like the famously bad Gotti film. Jesus.
No, calm down. Armand Asante was unbelievable as Gotti. You can see that movie actually on YouTube. I watch it when I'm in the gym. No, random, I know, but on the treadmill, not lifting weights. That would be weird.
Pretending you're running away from fucking balls.
Yeah. Get him, Gotti. Get him.
You consider Barbie as a biopic.
Well, this is it, like when you think about it, I mean, like a lot of movies you'd never think of as a biopic. Like, I mean, a Casino, like, that's
Well, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
You know what I mean? Right, exactly. And even
The Untouchables is a biopic in a way, like it's just that it centers on multiple people, kind of. I don't know.
They're all rated as.
There's actually a really good John Lennon one.
Oh yeah?
I think it was 2010.
No.
Nowhere Boy.
Oh yeah. That was Aaron Taylor Johnson, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the same person who's going to direct the Amy Winehouse one as well.
Yeah.
Does this lead us down a primrose path?
I think it does.
Are we looking at a top 10 biopics?
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
I think
here we go.
Oh my god!
After in the next episode, we will be covering the top 10, the 10 feature films that are nominated for Best Picture for the Oscars. That will be at the end of this month. So after that, we did say whoever gets the predictions right. So whoever wins or whoever gets closest to all the winners will get to choose. So maybe we'll do it the following month. So it depends who wins the Oscar one first. So Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, and soundtrack. Editing,
director,
script. Sorry.
Script. Okay, yeah. Right, so we need to get that sorted. So we need to do up our list. We'll all write them down. Who wins?
We'll do 10. The 10. We'll pick 10.
10 categories.
10 categories because we do 10 top 10. So.
Yeah,
we have to choose the winners out of each category, and whoever wins the most,
whoever wins or whoever gets closest to the final tally gets to pick what we do.
Whoever gets the most right.
In March.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Come on, top 10 gangster movies. Come on, top 10 gangster movies. Come on, top 10 mob movies. Did I say that out loud?
And to let you know, throughout the year, we will be doing a lot more shows. I think we're going to be doing a look back on Pulp Fiction. Because like 30-year anniversary of it.
Oh, 30 years.
Maybe if we find out more about Tarantino's 10th film, we may find more about it this year. We'll see what happens. So we may
also as well. What's his name? The director of Godfather has a new film out.
And just for Coppola, Megalopolis.
Yeah. It's the first time he's made a film in years.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's got a great cast as well.
Has a massive cast.
He's been trying to make it as well for like 20 plus years, and he basically financed it out of his own pocket.
Wow.
So that'll be an interesting one.
I reckon it'll be a 4-hour thing.
Yeah.
Well, he likes to do it in style.
Well, if you ask Scorsese for help, it'll definitely be 4 hours. Okay, lads, that's the show. Thanks for tuning in. Again, like we said, if you did watch the Iron Claw, or if you're planning on watching it, we just spoiled the movie for you. But let us know in the comments below. If we spoiled it for you, tell us to fuck off in the comments. It helps the algorithm.
We'll send Tom after him.
We'll send Tom. Tom and Mark Haskins.
Yeah.
And Vicky as well.
That's it. Yeah. I'll come at you with a bleeding nose because that's the best I can do in wrestling, apparently.
Tom, what have you got coming up in Pop Cult Pod this month or in the next while?
Oh, fair bit planned. We'll have to see what actually comes out. The main thing that is going to come out, and it's taken a while to edit, is going to be my own award show, which is the preview of the year ahead in film. Which, I've said this elsewhere, and I genuinely have not seen anyone dispute it because I don't think it's possible. I think I do the most comprehensive film preview in the world. I'm not even joking around and fucking around here. I'm talking about over 100 films this year alone. Which, maybe that's too many. Maybe there's a reason, Tom. But yes, that's going to be coming up hopefully soon. I have it halfway edited. You're going to see any trailers that are out for those movies, posters out for those movies, which one is ones we're most looking forward to. So yeah, that's the big exciting thing. But of course, there'll be other content in February as well that I'm excited to share. Yeah.
Well,
definitely.
One of the days at the end of these shows, we're going to ask you when your film is due out.
There's no release date, but we're getting there. If I was to guess, I'm going to say April.
April.
Ooh. So we'll clear the schedules for April.
Hopefully at the end of April when we're back.
Yeah. Do I need a frock? or like a new do or something.
Yeah, we're all getting dressed up for the Oscar show soon.
Oh, I can't wait because mob lady fashion is back. It's making a huge comeback. So there's none of this like preppy little crop top shit no more. We're talking gowns, leopard print fur coats, big hair. Miley rocked it at the Grammys. I am so happy because big hair, leopard print, and mob fashion is just
Did I see
everything I never knew I needed in my life.
Did I see someone wearing a dress with pins?
Liz Hurley?
No, like with pins, like someone wore
Manson?
it with like pins, like hairpins. The whole dress was made of pins.
No way. Oh my God.
Oh.
Maybe, oh my God, maybe the early 2000s are making a comeback so as well. Let's get Mob Lady out of the way first because I am living for Mob Lady, big hair and all the faux fur.
And on that note, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you at the end of the month for our Oscar wins. See you later, guys.
Bye for now.